Meanwhile, the mainstream media hammering Donald Trump for his comments about veterans yesterday.
As Trump stepped into another firestorm earlier today, this time during a Q&A with veterans, suggesting those suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder aren't as strong as other veterans.
Only problem with that NBC report, they left out a critical part of what he said. Veterans Scott Brown and Pete Hegseth are not happy about it, and they are going to join Ainsley next.
Either is the veteran that asked the question, and the vice presidential nominees face off just miles from the home of one of our country's most historic battles.
You talk about the mental health problems when people come back from war and combat, and they see things that maybe a lot of the folks in this room have seen many times over, and you're strong and you can handle it, but a lot of people can't handle it. And they see horror stories, they see events that you couldn't see in a movie, nobody would believe it. Now, we need mental health help and medical, and it's one of the things that I think is least addressed.
The mainstream media is hammering Donald Trump for those comments that he made at a veteran event in Northern Virginia. But while the Republican nominee has spent some time and effort to help the veterans, so shouldn't they focus on that? Well, our Fox News contributors and military veterans, Pete Hegseth and Scott Brown, join us now. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
What do you think about that? Mainstream media is saying that it was wrong what he said about PTSD. Did you see a problem with that?
No, not at all. In fact, it's the exact opposite. No candidate has elevated veterans issues, VA reform, like Donald Trump has in the modern era. He's seriously made it a top-tier presidential issue, talks about it all the time. Anybody who's met with him knows his heart is in the right place. He was merely pointing out that 22 veterans a day commit suicide in this country. There's a mental health problem. We need to address it. So far from being a misstep, I think it's to his credit that he talks about it so much.
What do you think?
I know for a fact one of the reasons I endorsed Donald Trump is because I had a long conversation with him about this very specific issue, because I am deeply concerned about veterans issues. I was on the Veterans Committee, spent the last 4 years at the Pentagon, very concerned about this very important issue. He almost had tears in his eyes when he was telling me about how concerned he was, especially referencing the 22 soldiers a day that are committing suicide. This is a real, that and sexual assaults are real, obviously very serious problems. So to have the mainstream media, once again, distort things, take it out of context, and hammer it. Pete and I were talking earlier. We have never, ever seen anything like this before, the agenda by the mainstream media.
Well, if you talk to veterans and you talk to folks that are fighting for our country right now, it looks like they are voting for Trump, the majority at least. When it comes to veterans, 47% are voting for Trump versus 33% voting for Hillary. And then if you look at active duty troops, Trump gets 37.6%. But here's the kicker. Gary Johnson comes in second with active troops at 36.5%. Are you shocked by that?
It's Trump, Johnson? Not at all. In fact, it's a more conservative institution. They don't want a commander-in-chief, Hillary Clinton. That's the clear takeaway from this poll. Overwhelmingly, they don't want the 90s back. They don't want the Iran deal. They don't want Benghazi. They don't want Hillary Clinton.
And they look at Hillary and they say, you know what, we're not supporting it because of Benghazi, I think is the main reason. As I speak to a lot of former colleagues, former people that I've served with, they're like, there's no way. And that 33%, I think, is actually going to be high. They don't want a continuation of the Obama-Clinton era. And if you look at what Trump's going to do, he's looking to build up the military. He's providing the tools and resources for people to do their jobs and come home and get the care that they need. That's what his agenda is.
We were just showing you the graph. The Marines, they're in favor of Trump. We showed you that because both of the men that will take the podium tonight, Pence and Senator Kaine, they both have sons. Their sons are in the Marines serving our country. So God bless them. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next guest is a lifelong Democrat with a powerful message against her party, why she says Trump is the one to fix the violence.